think what makes a good display resource is anything that allows you to interact with the display.
Has to be easy to use,
bright and colourful,
free, quick and easy.
Something that is versatile.
I think it's got to be clear, it's got to be very visual.
I use lots of dangly bits.
Open flaps, press buttons.
Pre-cut letters.
Anything that you can use time and time again, value for money, is a great resource.
Prezi is a presentational tool. It's an online application. You have to register for it and get your email verification and so on. I like it because the first time I used it with the children, they loved the movement, basically. Especially the younger children enjoyed the movement. But I'm a Year 6 teacher currently, and they liked it because it allowed them to see the entire lesson on one page. This is a presentation I created for a lesson with a learning question, how do we use maths in real life? I start off by showing the children on the interactive whiteboard the entire presentation, and then it allows me to move into some questions, some information, and then it allows me to import some images onto the presentation. If I zoom out, the children then can see the whole presentation, and they quite often will go up to the interactive whiteboard and click on just one area of the presentation. The free version allows you to store up to 100 megabytes, but if you need more, you can actually pay for more. And it's incredibly simple to use. All the controls that you need for editing are basically in the top left-hand corner. If I go to place, then that allows me to edit it. It puts the grids up on the graph, which allows you to position and so on. If I go to text, it's very simple. There are only 3 different types of text that you can use. It allows me to enlarge the text, actually allows me to move the text around, and it actually allows me also to angle the text, so just making the whole presentation a lot more interesting. I can also zoom back and forth, and this is where Prezi is different because it allows you to use a very, very large piece of paper. It's almost like having a giant piece of paper. It allows me to import media from anywhere in the computer, so it's really simple to use, photographs, and also allows me to create a path, and this is probably the most important part of Prezi. It allows me to create a path. The children call it the learning path.
It had the feel of a mind map, so I can see the usefulness of the resource. I think it probably could be very easy to put together a presentation using it. However, with that much movement, I don't feel that it would be an effective resource when trying to teach children.
I thought it was an interesting programme, but for use in the classroom I thought it would distract from the teaching rather than enhance the learning because there was a lot of movement and it became quite distracting.
I tried the free editor. It seemed fairly complicated at the beginning, but I'm sure with time you'd be able to use it quite easily. The only issue I had with it was it wasn't very interactive with regards to children. If you're having a presentation up on the interactive whiteboard, then usually you have children coming in interacting with it, and I couldn't, maybe there was, but I couldn't actually see any interaction with the children. But it is very whizzy and it looks great. And I personally think it would be fantastic in like adult conferences. It looks really lovely, but for children, I'm not too sure it's the best presentation tool.
The limitations to Prezi is the fact that it's purely for presentation. There isn't much interaction with the presentation. But what I like about Prezi is, number one, its ease of use. Secondly, it's the way it moves from one bit of information to another bit of information. It's very dynamic. Also, I like the actual interface, the way you can actually work with it and move things around quite easily and create a learning path which allows the children to see the entire lesson. My favourite display resource is a small voice recorder, which allows the children to record their voice or record what they're trying to present on the display, and then they can stick it on the actual display, and then it makes the whole display more interactive.
Schoolslinks.co.uk. Now they've gone through all of the QCA units for science and made up a display for each unit from years 1 right through to 6. A fantastic display resource.
This is one of my favourite resources. It's certainly one of the most useful. It's a yearbook that I keep with the children. They help by taking the photographs, selecting the photographs we're going to use and helping compile the text. I use it when parents are visiting the classroom, and I also take it when I go on home visits.
I love using sticky notes. It's a great way for the children to interact with the displays and for me to have a two-way communication with them.
These are my time-saving mini blackboards. I found them in a local shop. They are very quirky and they make my displays look even more interesting. And they're great because you can just rub off the children's names and then reuse them.
This is a visualiser. It's essentially a digital version of an overhead projector which you can link to either your laptop or a projector, or indeed both should you wish to. It is an incredible piece of equipment and I can't praise it enough. It's used throughout the school in a variety of ways and the teachers absolutely love it. We've got a dragonfly just underneath the lens cap here, and we can zoom right in to show in immense detail, almost the magnification of a digital microscope, which is fantastic. It enables the children to see in so much detail something that's happening in real time.
So how do you think you can use this in class?
I've never seen a visualiser before.
It looks really easy to use.
I quite like the fact that you can zoom in and out.
Yeah.
Lovely for art, you know, for observation study drawings.
It's a cross-curricular tool. In literacy, you can enlarge text. You can then capture that image using the button at the side.
I quite like the idea of being able to take a picture of a child's piece of learning and then manipulating that on the interactive whiteboard.
Yeah.
It works as well as a camera, but it's better because it means that you don't necessarily have to take the memory card out and put it into the computer or connect it up with the USB. It's already connected.
I like the fact that I could put a piece of writing under there and it can go on the interactive whiteboard and I can edit with the children a piece of work immediately.
You can also bend the arm and highlight different areas. So, for example, like so. The actual arm itself moves as well, which is fantastic if you want to alter the top part of the visualiser.
Just can move it about like all over the place.
This would be useful. Ooh. Okay, so I can turn it, right, well, that's good.
So it can focus on the children, it can focus on their work.
Let me work out how I can do this. If I move it back round.
For me, I'm not very technical, so, you know, immediately I can use it.
And then I can move it up. Oh, there you go.
The only thing I would think is maybe is it a little bit flimsy for children to kind of move around?
Yeah, because it'd be nice for children to actually use it themselves. Yeah. I like the size of it. I've seen visualisers in the past and they're kind of like these kind of big clumpy things. So this one can be moved from class to class.
And these buttons appear to be very self-explanatory, exactly as you would have on a projector. So as I'm used to using one of those, this is very straightforward.
I think it's very useful. I think I could use it a lot within class. My question would be, is it really worth the money?
I think I agree with you. I think it's quite expensive. It's a brilliant resource. And I can see multiple uses for it, but whether or not the ICT budget will actually stretch to buying these.
Yeah.
The only disadvantage would be that if you bought one or two for the school, it would be left in a room where everybody could use it, but nobody would be using it. So I think ideally you'd have one for every classroom and then the cost would rack up. But if you hadn't got a lot of technical equipment in school already and you didn't have that many digital cameras, then this might be a better investment than that.
We've had these visualisers for about a year now. They've been very easy to get to grips with. The teachers love using them and we don't know how we've done without them.